sit down. Would you state your full name for the record?
Miesha Robertson.
And Ms. Robertson, are you familiar with the case of Milton Place and Laila Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you first come on to that case? And what year and what was going on at that time?
I believe it was in 2014. I haven't been with the agency, Henry County DFCS, in a while, and I haven't had any contact with the family since the time that I brought those kids into care, which I believe was in early 2015.
Okay. Do you recall talking to Cynthia Tate and Tiffany Chapman?
I haven't reviewed the file, but I believe you're referring to the safety resources.
Yes.
For Laila Daniel.
Yes.
So I would have had to make contact with them monthly. Yes.
And do you recall them telling you that Laila develops a rash if she drinks anything with vitamin C or orange juice in it?
I don't recall that, ma'am.
You don't recall that?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall being told that if she's put in anything but Huggy diapers, she develops a rash?
I don't recall that, ma'am.
So you don't recall anything about what happened that time?
As I stated, I haven't had contact with this family since approximately early 2015. So, and I'm not with the agency. I don't have access to the record. So I don't, unless I'm able to review it.
Let me show you a document and see if that helps refresh your recollection.
On this documentation, this appears to be my documentation from during that time, and I wrote that Tate reported that Laila will break out with a rash when she drinks orange juice. So Tate and Chapman restrict her consumption of same.
What, you spoke really fast. What did you just say? It
I'm
escaped
sorry.
me.
I said that I noted that Tate, referring to Cynthia Tate, reported that Laila will break out with a rash when she drinks orange juice. So Tate and Chapman, Tiffany Chapman, restrict her consumption of same, meaning the orange juice.
Oh, okay. Does it say anything about Huggies?
I don't see that noted on here, just from me quickly browsing it.
If you do remember now that she breaks out with a rash when she drinks orange juice.
That's what I report. I noted that the caregivers reported at that time. Yes.
There came a time where you came in contact with Peggy Banks, is that correct?
She was the other safety resource for the other child, Millie Place.
And do you recall Peggy Bank telling you that Cynthia, it's impeachment.
All right. Is it the same? So,
No, let me approach you. Did Ms. Banks make any statements to you? Make any statements to you about Ms. Tate and her daughter Tiffany?
I don't recall. As I stated, I would have to review the record.
see if this refreshes your recollection.
One second.
What, if anything, did Miss Banks tell you about the Tates and about Miss Tate?
Specifically about how the child was doing with Miss Tate?
No, specifically about Miss Tate. What does she say about Miss Tate?
From my documentation, it says that the grandmother, Miss Banks, reported that she talks to Cynthia Tate about once a week via phone, that Millie and Laila had not visited with each other since Christmas. She goes on to talk about other stuff.
Let me ask you this. Did she mention anything about Miss Tate and alcohol?
It's noted that the grandmother said that she and Millie visited Tate's home, and Tate disclosed to her that she had drank alcohol. The grandmother stated that Tate is a recovering alcoholic, and if she took a drink of alcohol, she could be struggling with issues regarding alcohol abuse. She said that she never observed Tate intoxicated, and that Tate did not present as intoxicated when she disclosed that she had drank alcohol when her and Millie had visited for Christmas.
Did Miss Tate talk to you about Miss Banks? Did she say anything about Miss Banks and the statement about alcohol?
Once again, I haven't had contact, so if you want me to review that record, then I can do that. I haven't had recent contact, so it's been a while.
Let me show
Your Honor,
you.
if I can see what you showed the witness.
Yes. That's it.
This documentation is from a visit that was completed on March 19th of 2015. And during that visit, Ms. Tate stated that she complained about the family lying, and the maternal grandmother, great-grandmother, is the person behind making false claims. She says that she complained about the maternal great-grandmother, Miss Banks, saying that she was drinking alcohol and has a man in the home. Tate stated that the maternal great-grandmother is a spiteful woman, and she stated that the maternal great-grandmother does not even call or inquire regarding Laila unless she wants Chapman to babysit Millie.
Thank you. I'm looking for that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wall. Mr. Chase.
To be real clear about the timing, this was March of 2015.
Correct.
This was before the children were placed with the Rosenbaums, correct?
Correct. I was the Family Preservation Services case manager. I monitored the placement of the two children in the safety resource home. So I would say I was a case manager for probably about 4 months, a brief period of time. I took them both into care when the safety resources could no longer provide care for them, and there was no other relative or friend that could provide care for them.
And it's safe to say that Miss Banks and Miss Tate, there was no love lost between them, correct?
Correct.
All right. But Miss Banks specifically, what she said to you was that Miss Tate was a recovering alcoholic.
Yes.
Miss Tate had said something to her about having a sip of alcohol.
Yes.
But Miss Banks never observed her alcohol.
Correct. That was what I noted. Yes.
So the children were never, she never observed Miss Tate under any sort of influence whatsoever.
Correct. She reiterated that point, and I noted that in the documentation.
I want to show you some photographs. about some of the rashes. Now, is this what, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 1. It's going to be behind you. Is this what Ms. Banks described, Ms. Tate described when she said something about vitamin C?
No.
Would the injury like this have concerned you?
Very much so.
How about this? Is this what Ms. Tate described to you when she said something about vitamin C?
No.
Ms. Mole also asked you about Huggies. Is that what Ms. Tate described to you when she said something about the children having an allergy from Huggies?
No, as I stated, I didn't see any information in the documentation that I noted any issues with Huggies.
Okay. So you don't even have any recollection of this Huggy thing, correct?
Correct.
All right, and it's not even in your documentation.
Correct.
All right, but that's not something that no one had ever described anything like that to you, correct?
Correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
All right. Did anyone describe anything like this when they were talking about vitamin C?
No.
Nothing further.
Let's give this a second. Put everything together.
Ms. Robertson, isn't it true that you noted that she should only be put in Huggies diapers, not any other kind of diaper?
This is an emergency intake form for when the child was brought into foster care. On this, in my handwriting, is noted use Huggies wipes and diapers only. That may have been something that came up after the fact because this is dated 4/15. I don't know what date was on that documentation you gave me, but this is dated 4/15/15.
But so you were told by somebody that the child should only be put in Huggies?
Based on what I just saw, yes.
And nobody talked to you when they talked to you about the vitamin C or about the Huggies. Nobody showed you any pictures of injuries or rashes or anything like that, did they?
Well, as a family preservation services case manager, and monitoring the placement of those kids is my responsibility to observe them every month, and I would observe them physically undressed. And with her being nonverbal, I would look at her whole body. So if any of that was bruises, marks, lacerations was on her, then I would see it.
Okay, now
And I would note it.
let's try to answer the question. With regards to, did anybody show you pictures and say this is what vitamin C rash should look like, this is what a non-Huggies diaper should cause? Did anybody show you pictures?
No.
Did you at any time when you had responsibility for Laila see any bruises or cuts or abrasions on her?
Not that I recall, but I would have to review my documentation. If I did see it, it would be noted in the documentation.
Thank you.
Very briefly, in all the time that you were a caseworker with DFCS, did you ever see any of the photographs that I showed you before? Did you ever see anything like that related to a vitamin C rash?
No.
Did you ever see anything like that related to Huggies diapers?
No.
Did you ever see anything like that, however, related to abuse?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Thank you, ma'am. You can step down, and you're excused unless you're subject.
So if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Could you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Lauren Zoeckler, Lauren Zoeckler.
Ms. Zoeckler, what is your occupation?
I'm a teacher
And where are you a teacher?
at Butts County.
And how long have you been teaching for?
This will be my 9th year.
Okay. Can I ask you to please bring the microphone closer to you, or you closer to the microphone? Do you know Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And how did you come to know them?
We met online through a CF Wives support group. Online.
An online through a what support group?
CF Wives support group.
Okay, what is CFY?
Wife.
CF Wives.
It's a support group for people married to someone with CF,
And what's CF stand for?
cystic fibrosis.
And what, you're a wife of somebody who suffers from cystic fibrosis?
Yes, ma'am.
And who would that be?
My husband, Jason.
Okay. And so, did you and the Rosenbaums and you become friends at some point?
Yes.
And did you do things as couples?
Yes.
Were there game nights,
Yes.
barbecues,
Yes, ma'am.
pool times,
Yes.
eating out,
Yes.
and attending church?
Yes.
And when did you have your first child?
June 2014.
And that child was Kaylee?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you suffer from high blood pressure at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Jennifer stay at the hospital
Yes, ma'am.
the whole night with you?
Most of yes, yes.
And when you came home, you had to go back to the ER, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did you call to come stay with your newborn?
My mother-in-law and Jennifer came until she got there.
And how old was Kaylee? How many weeks?
A few days.
A few days old. How did you find out, if you did, about Jennifer and Joseph getting foster children?
Through Jennifer.
Okay. And how was Jennifer when she found out she was going to foster kids?
She was telling me that she wanted to. She was telling me that she wanted to. She was excited.
And did you see the Rosenbaums after they got the children? Did you see them?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you continue to see them socially?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you see any evidence of bruises, marks, or cuts or abrasions?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. And you are a mandated reporter, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you see abuse, you have to report it, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've never reported anything to do with Millie and Laila, have you?
No, ma'am.
If you had seen any evidence of abuse, what would you have done?
I would have reported it.
How did Laila and Millie behave when you saw them?
Like a normal little kids, playful.
Did they act frightened or scared of either Jennifer or Joseph?
No, ma'am.
And did the children appear close to Jennifer and Joseph or not?
Normal. I mean. Mm-hmm.
And how was Jennifer with them? How did she interact with them?
Again, I would say a normal relationship. You would think
Normal relationship between whom?
a parent and a child.
Okay. And you have said before that Laila was clingy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that manifest itself? What did you see that?
I mean, there was just a couple of times when I would be there, she would just want to sit in her lap instead of playing with Millie and my daughter.
Millie and your daughter are of what age?
Well, my daughter was only 1, and so Millie was 4.
How was Laila towards other people?
Loving.
Did she appear to want to be held by them?
Mm-hmm. I mean, she liked everybody. She was very sweet.
Now, did Jennifer keep the kids holed up at home? Or did they go out in the community?
We went out a lot.
And where do you recall they went out?
Church and fall festivals, Chick-fil-A, just normal routines.
Did you go to any birthday parties of Millie or Laila?
Both. Layla's was at home and Millie's was at Noah's Ark.
And what do you remember specifically about them?
Which one? Either
one.
Just people came over at their house for Layla's, just games, food. Millie's, same thing, ate at the park, then went around.
Do you recall a time when Millie's birthday. Do you recall that?
At Noah's Ark? Mhm.
Noah's Ark. Do you recall having seen the girls undressed at that time?
Yeah, we changed Laila quickly in the park because she was wearing an Olaf costume and she was hot.
And so what did you put her in?
Her regular clothes.
Okay. And did Millie change that day or not?
I don't remember. She probably did because she was wearing Elsa, but I don't recall.
During the course of knowing the girls, did you ever see any indication of cuts, bruises, abrasions, anything of that nature?
Nothing that brought to my attention now.
And did Kaylee have a first birthday party on June 7th, 2015?
If it was a Saturday, probably. That is her birthday.
And did Millie and Laila attend?
I believe so.
And while Millie and Laila were living with the Rosenbaums, did you see them at the Rosenbaum home?
Yes.
Did you see them at the pool?
Yes.
And it's fair to say you lived at that time a couple doors down from the Rosenbaum.
Well, in the same neighborhood, a couple streets over, but yes.
Okay. And
Or A Street.
A Street over?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you have them at your home, Millie and Laila and Mr. and Mrs.
Probably
Rosenbaum?
once or twice. Mhm.
And did you all go to birthday parties and other social events together?
Yes.
And did you attend church at Turning Point with them?
Yes. Yes.
On July 4th, 2015, were you all together at your house for a cookout?
Probably.
Did you all go to the Come Out and Play Saturday event in Hampton, Georgia?
Yes.
And that was August 22nd, 2015, correct?
Probably.
What did the kids do there at that event?
They had a lot of vendors, bounce houses, splash pad was open, stuff like that.
Were they in their bathing suits?
Yes.
And did they play on the inflatable bouncy house?
Yes.
Did you at any point report to defects or to the police any concerns you had?
No.
Did you attend Millie's birthday on October 17th, 2015?
Yes.
At Noah's Festival. Was it cold out that day?
I don't think it was. I don't remember.
That's fine if you don't remember what
Yeah.
you say. So after the birthday, did you all walk around the fall festival and animal habitat at Noah's
Yes.
Ark? When you changed Laila, were there other people in sight of you changing her?
Oh yeah, everybody was there.
Okay. Miss Banks there? Do you remember whether Peggy Banks was there?
She was at the party.
She was at the party. And did you attend on October 30th, 2015? Did you attend the Turning Point Church Halloween Fall Festival?
Probably. I know I don't remember the year, but I know I've gone to a few years, so yes.
Did you see Millie and Laila with Jennifer there?
Yes.
Now, on October 31st, 2015, did you come by the Rosenbaum home while trick-or-treating?
Yes.
And did you see Millie and Laila getting ready to go out trick-or-treating?
Yes.
Were there on other occasions that you were with the Rosenbaums and Laila and Millie?
Maybe.
Were you there most Sundays at church?
Most Sundays.
And did you and Jennifer drop the girls off at the church daycare?
Yes.
Did you both have to leave diapers so that Kaylee and Laila could be changed if necessary?
Yes, you leave your diaper bag.
Did you sometimes go out after church to Sticky Cactus Mexican?
We had. Mm-hmm.
Did you and the Rosenbaum have dinner at each other's house?
Sometimes.
And you saw Millie and Laila during these occasions?
Yes.
even your and your husband's family met the girls, correct?
At birthday parties, yeah.
And did they appear anything but happy and healthy to you?
Yeah, happy. Hmm.
Did they appear healthy
Yes.
to you?
Yes.
Did they favor any arm?
Not that I recall.
Did they favor any leg?
Not that I recall.
Did they complain to you of arm pain or leg pain?
Not that I recall.
If they had, you'd have done something about it, wouldn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the day after Laila passed, did you and Jason come over to check on the Rosenbaums and bring food?
I don't recall coming over the next day, maybe.
You come over after that and bring food?
Probably.
So you stayed friends with them after that for a period of time?
For a little bit.
And did you ever call was there ever a time during the time that you knew and were seeing the Rosenbaums, did you ever see any bruises, abrasions, cuts, or lacerations on either child?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have at this time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Chase.
Good afternoon, Ms. Everett.
Hey.
We had a chance to talk a few weeks ago, correct?
Yes.
All right. Then just briefly out in the hallway, right?
Yes.
All right. You mentioned to Ms. Mull, she asked you friends after Laila's passing. You mentioned for a little bit. Are you no longer friends?
Well, we don't talk anymore.
And why is that?
We just distance ourselves during the trial.
Distance yourself from the trial?
Hmm.
Okay. And do you, did Jennifer ever say anything to you or your husband after the charge, after Laila's death and before their arrest?
She stopped by once, walking shortly after.
And she said to you that you were going to hear a whole bunch of lies in the media, correct?
Yes.
Did you stay friends with her for much longer after that?
A little while.
But as you stand here today, you no longer communicate, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Mull asked you about whether or not they favored any arms. Did you ever get down and feel on Laila's arm?
No.
Especially in the weeks leading up to her death, did you ever feel her arm?
No.
Did you ever really pay that close of attention to her arm?
No.
And her leg, you're aware that her leg was broken, correct?
Yes.
In fact, Jennifer told you that she broke her leg, correct?
Correct.
And what did she tell you about that?
That she broke at gymnastics.
Did she mention anything else about how she broke her leg?
Just gymnastics.
So she didn't mention that she also hurt her leg at Nana's house before that, correct?
No.
Did she mention that she had brought the child to several different treating doctors?
No.
Did she mention that one of those doctors had wanted her to go to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to get additional treatment, and
No.
she did not do that?
No, she didn't.
Ms. Mull asked you a series of questions about whether or not you are a mandated reporter.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to ask you this, and I apologize for doing this in advance, okay? If you were to see State's Exhibit 80, would that cause you concern as a mandated reporter?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because that doesn't look like something that would just happen.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 78. Would that cause you concern as a mandated reporter?
Yes.
And why is that?
I mean, without context, it looks like a lot of force.
I'm going to show you the interior of Laila's leg. If you had seen that as a mandated reporter, would that have caused you concern?
Yes.
Now, did you see any of these things in the weeks leading up to Laila's death?
No.
When's the last time you actually saw Laila alive?
Probably Halloween, probably, briefly.
So that would have been about 2.5 weeks prior to her death, correct?
Correct.
Did you say Exhibit 27? If you saw that on Laila's neck, would it cause you concern?
Some, yes.
State's Exhibit 1. that's what you observed, would that cause you concern?
Definitely.
Now, Ms. Mull asked you about diapers. Was there anything ever mentioned about any kind of rash from a diaper?
No.
So Jennifer never mentioned anything to you about needing Huggies, or specifically Huggies?
Not that I recall.
The church daycare, that was only on Sundays, wasn't it?
During services.
During services.
Mhm.
They didn't actually have a daycare turning point for during the week.
No, they don't.
Were you aware that Jennifer had told people, including the defects caseworker, that the children were in daycare?
I was not aware.
As a mandated reporter, would that have concerned you?
Yes.
Were you aware that she had told the biological family that the children were in daycare?
No.
And when you found out that wasn't true, would that concern you as well?
Yes.
One of the things that you mentioned to me when we were speaking on the phone is that you were in fact good friends with them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you also admitted to me that you don't know what people do behind closed doors. Is that correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Would you want to know the context behind the injuries before you make a decision to report as a mandated reporter?
No, you're actually told not to ask questions.
So you don't care about the context?
If
You
I
mentioned context earlier with Mr.
Yeah.
Chase. So context concern you or not concern you?
not with that, no.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you. You can step down.
My excuse.
And they said, please tell us what your occupation or profession is,
I'm a pharmacist.
and where are you a pharmacist?
I'm now at Moyes Jackson and Monticello Drugs, but previously I had been at Walmart Pharmacy from 1991 until March of last year.
And where is that pharmacy, that Walmart pharmacy located?
Here in McDonough at exit 218.
And do you know Jennifer Rosenbaum?
I do.
And how do you know her?
Jennifer and Joseph both were my patients at Walmart.
Okay. Did you have occasion to see her with the girls, with her foster children?
I saw her one time with one child.
And what was the circumstances and where did that occur?
I was the pharmacist on duty that day, and I believe the child had a rash. She was sitting in the front part of the buggy. Jennifer just came up and asked what she could do until she could get her to the doctor. Asked the age. It was under the age of 6. Told her she could just use a cream or something, and unless the child had previously had Benadryl or anything that wasn't recommended for anyone of that age, that she could go on a doctor's recommendations. But other than that, I could just recommend a cream.
And did you notice anything about her eyes when you saw her there?
I don't know, not that I know of, one way or another.
But you saw a little girl in the buggy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that alarmed you about that little girl?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Fears.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Ms. Spears.
Hi.
My name is Mary Andrews. I believe we spoke on the phone maybe a week or two ago.
Yes.
When was the date that you saw Jen and that one child in the buggy?
I honestly have, it was a couple of years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I guess. I don't even remember what time of year it was or anything.
And is it common for parents to come to you with asking for a cream or what to do about a rash on the child?
Oh, absolutely. They look at us as prescribers, which we're not.
And do you remember where this rash was on the child?
I believe it was like on the torso, somewhere on the stomach area.
And did you ever see the child unclothed at all?
No.
So you didn't see anything that, you didn't see any parts of her skin, like the back or the front?
I think, and keep in mind we filled 700 or 800 prescriptions a day, so I saw lots of people, but I do believe that she did maybe raise her shirt or something like that. I believe it was on the stomach area, but I could not swear to that. That's just to the best of my memory.
And do you know the name of the child?
I do not. But I do remember her introducing her, but I do not remember her name.
And other than that one interaction, that's the only time you saw that child.
That I knew, that I remember, yes.
And you don't know anything about the incident that happened on November 17th of 2015?
I mean, I know at the time, being the pharmacist at Walmart and working with a lot of people, and Jennifer and Joseph came into the store frequently. I mean, we knew because of the report,
Okay.
but have not.
You didn't have any personal knowledge?
No.
You weren't there?
No. Well,
You weren't
not
there?
that I know of. I don't know if I worked that day or not, but not anywhere around Jennifer or Joseph.
You weren't
No.
at Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum's home?
No, never been there.
You've never been there?
No, never been
You've
there.
never seen what happened in their home?
No, ever.
You're not friends with them?
No.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Was the little girl, could you give us an idea of the age range? Was it somebody that was
I know-
even under or for?
I know she was 6 or under, and I want to say she was probably 2 or 3, maybe 4, but she was young and in the front of the buggy, riding in the child section of the buggy.
And so it would be 4 versus a 2-year-old, correct?
I'm really not sure.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Lee.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Andrews?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down.
Yes,
and you're
sir.
excused.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. If you just have a seat. Ms. Yandle, are you, how do you spell your name?
Amberyandle.
And what is your name?
Amber Yandle.
Amber Yandle. What do you do for a living, Ms. Yandle?
I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner.
And where are you a pediatric nurse practitioner?
POTS Pediatrics.
And how long have you been there?
Close to 2 years.
I want to take you back to November 9th, 2017. Do you recall x-rays being ordered for Millie Place?
I do.
And do you recall the date when those, that x-ray was ordered?
No.
Let me show you the document and see if it helps refresh your recollection.
Okay. It was November 9th, 2017.
Tell me what she was there for.
She came in because she had injured her right ankle. I believe the story was that 4 weeks prior, she was running and injured her ankle, and grandma had given her rest, ice, compression, elevation, and Motrin like we would typically recommend. And then the day that she came in, her ankle was swollen, so she brought her in because she fell on the playground.
And was this great-grandma?
I don't know.
Do you remember the name Peggy Banks? Does that ring any bells?
It doesn't. I think the note says maternal grandmother.
Maternal grandmother. Okay. With regards to that, did you have any subsequent to November 9th? Did you see any X-rays being produced?
I did.
Let me show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 67. And ask you if you can identify that.
So this is my first time seeing the x-ray. When we get the report back, it's just kind of dictated. I can't really tell where the fracture is, to be honest with you.
No, I'm just asking you, what is that?
Oh, it's a right ankle x-ray
For whom?
for Millie Place.
And what is the date on there?
It is 11/13/17.
Thank you. I would tender Defendant's Exhibit 67 into the record at this time.
Admitted.
So, let me make sure I understand. She was ordered to get, she got an order from Dr. Potts to get an x-ray on November 9th, correct?
Yes, I ordered that.
You ordered that. And did you tell her where she was to go to get it?
We usually have the front desk girls let them know where they can get the imaging done.
Okay. And isn't it true that this imaging was done at Hudson Bridge, Eagles Landing?
I can't remember.
See if this refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
And isn't it true that's open 7 days a week?
It is.
And it took 3 days before Millie was taken to get her x-rays, correct?
According to the dates, yes.
And she was taken to CHOA Urgent Care at Hudson Bridge on November 13th, correct?
Yes, to get the x-rays.
And are you aware that she had had complaints like this for 3 or 4 other times?
That was part of the history that I received.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Cross.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, I moved into evidence states 476, 477, 478, and 479. They are self-authenticated. They are Millie's medical records and previously provided to
Any objection? For a minute.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about this visit, okay?
Okay.
You, when Millie came to you, it's my understanding that her grandmother had said that there were some complaints for a few weeks, correct?
Correct.
And I think you said that they did rest, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Ice
Yes.
and Motrin, correct?
Yes.
And those are the things that you would expect someone to do for the type of injury that she presented with, correct?
Yes, for like an ankle sprain or if you twist an ankle.
So this would, and when you first examined her, you thought that this was just a twisted ankle, correct?
I did.
You thought it was just a sprain, and you did not think it was actually going to be any kind of fracture.
No, and I do remember because Millie was so active and kind of walking on it, I thought that it was probably just a sprain.
Okay, so she was active and walking around, but they came in because it was swollen, correct?
Yes.
And you put a splint on it, correct? Or,
She had one at home.
okay.
for
So
the
she
next-
actually had one at home that she brought Millie in wearing, correct?
I got it from the orthopedic note that she had one at home, so I can't remember if she had it at the visit or not.
Okay. But was that something that you recommended that she go and that she wear?
Yes, along with doing the Motrin too.
Did you recommend that she go immediately to, I don't know, Eggleston Hospital?
No, I really just didn't feel like it was broken, so I didn't say rush over there.
Okay. If someone that you're treating, if you advise that they need to go to the hospital and they don't, is that concerning to you?
It is.
And why is that?
Because I would want them to closely follow up to make sure that everything is okay as a caregiver.
Did you, the fact that it was 3 days for the type of injury that you saw, did you think that was, took 3 days to get the x-ray? Did you think that was alarming?
Not if the condition was improving with the stuff that I told her to do at home, I wouldn't be concerned.
Okay. And what did you tell her to do at home?
The Motrin and bracing it and just continuing like the rest ice the home.
So all the things that she'd already been doing, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, this type of injury that Millie had, you can easily get that by playing on the playground, correct?
I believe so.
And it's a kind of a twisting of the ankle motion?
Yes.
Was this type of injury, in your opinion, highly suspicious for abuse?
No.
Now, are you aware of what that she actually did go to see Mr. Coppinger, who's the physician assistant.
Yes, I received his notes.
You received his notes. And you reviewed his notes.
I did.
And what did he do after he saw Millie?
He, I believe it said, continue to wear the brace at home, and just kind of keep off of it. And I don't know if there was a follow-up after that with him or not, but
Okay.
that's all I remember.
So what he did is he just had her continue to wear the brace, correct? The brace that the grandmother had already had her wearing, correct?
Yes.
All right. So his treatment plan was just continue what you're doing.
Continue, yes.
He also done some recommendation perhaps for some physical therapy and also do some at-home exercises, correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you see Millie again?
I did. I can't remember the date. Later.
Was there still concern about her did you treat her for her ankle at that point?
I didn't. It was a different type of exam, so I didn't focus on the musculoskeletal system.
Okay. And if there had still been some major concerns, do you think that might have been something that was noted?
Absolutely.
Nothing further.
What type of fracture was it that Millie had?
I believe an avulsion fracture.
Thank you, Ms. Spears. I'm sorry, thank you, Ms. Yandle.
An avulsion fracture is essentially when a little piece of the bone is kind of ripped off by the tendon, correct?
Correct.
So that's something that's very consistent with twisting your ankle, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Anything else for this witness? Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. And
Britt.
Ms. Britt, if you know Jennifer, how do you know her?
Jennifer and I met at Young Republican meetings and just around McDonough. I had a law practice in McDonough around that time, and so we first met there.
And she and you shared community political interests, is that fair to say?
I went to the Young Republican meetings. We worked on Brian Strickland's campaign for state representative.
Okay. You also served as a guest panelist for her at Emory?
I did.
And what was that conference about at Emory? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly. I went to talk about child custody arrangements, but I don't remember the title of the program.
Was it about the challenges of fostering and adopting?
It could remember the exact title.
And at some point, did you find out that Jennifer had foster daughters?
I did.
And when you did so, what came after that? What significance happened after that?
I don't know. I don't know what you're asking.
Okay. With regards to how did you come to know she had foster children?
I don't remember how, like the exact moment I found out, but I was cleaning out some of my children's toys and clothing, and Jennifer reached out to buy some of the clothes I was selling, girl clothes of my daughters.
And did you have occasion to take those clothes over to Jennifer's house?
Yes, I had a stack for, the size ranges that she was looking at, and I went over to the house with the clothes.
And did you and she undress the girls and dress them up in the clothes to try them on?
I didn't undress anybody. I just was there for her to go through the clothes and pick them out. I do recall her trying on some of the clothes on at least one of the girls. I can't really remember if it was both of them.
Do you recall saying that she tried on multiple outfits for Millie and Laila?
I don't remember the names, but I do. She tried on more than one outfits.
And in fact, didn't she purchase the entire lot?
I can't remember, but I also can't really remember leaving with any, so it wasn't that much, so she might have.
Now, on October 30th, And first of all, let me ask you, when do you think this was that you went over to the house?
I have tried to think about that, and I really don't remember. I do think it was on the weekend, and it was around dinner time. I don't remember it being particularly cold, but, because I would have had coats and things like that, but I just can't place it.
When you saw the child that you saw undressed, did you see any cuts, bruises, lesions of any sort?
I didn't.
Anything alarming to you?
No, it seemed like a normal, the older girl was kind of dancing around happy about clothes, and we were in the kitchen, and there was TV on in the living room, and I think the girls were back and forth, seeing us or going to the living room, so it just, nothing seemed out of place or anything.
Okay. Now, next time you saw them, when was that, do you think?
So in the fall time, I don't know exactly what date, but there's a trick-or-treat program that is sometimes on the square, and I had a law office during that time, and that would have been late September or sometime in October of I think 2015, because that's when I had that particular office there. And I set up a little table with some candy on the table and was part of that trick-or-treat program. And she came by with at least one of the girls. I can't really remember if it was both, but I think she came by with the one that was able to walk along with her.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you, just so that we get the dates right, would it help to refresh your recollection to look at some documents to get the dates right about when you saw the girls first and second time?
Maybe. So the first document that you're showing me, it looks like a screen, and it looks like messaging on Facebook about the clothes, and it appears to be dated August 18th, 2015. Yeah, the only thing that's strange about that date is that's my daughter's birthday, so it would have been kind of strange for us not to be celebrating her birthday that day, but not necessarily. But that timeline doesn't sound wrong to me. Like if we went to talk about the clothes in August and then saw her a couple months later at the trick-or-treat thing, that makes sense.
And would the trick-or-treat thing have been on October 30th, 2015?
Let me see. So again, just looking at the date, it looks like some photos of doing the trick-or-treat, and it appears to be dated October 30th. I don't have any reason to. Right? So it looks like a Facebook post that I did of the trick-or-treat, some visitors that came by our table.
Mm-hmm. And who were the visitors that came by your table?
So in the top right-hand corner, I see Jennifer and her husband and two little girls. I'm not sure who the other children in the top left, and bottom right are. And then in the bottom left is me and my daughter at the trick-or-treat table.
Thank you. This time I would tender Defendant's Exhibit 75 into the record and ask to publish.
Submitted, you may publish.
And so you said you don't know who is in the right or left, top left and bottom right pictures?
I don't know who any of the children are. I don't recognize any of the children specifically.
Do you recognize the children that are with the Rosenbaums as being one of the girls that you tried on clothes with?
I don't.
Okay. But you posted these pictures?
Mm-hmm. I did.
And you posted these pictures on October 30th, 2015, correct?
That's what it says, and I don't have any reason to dispute that.
Thank you, that's all I have at this time.
Any questions?
Good afternoon, Ms. Britt. My name is Miesha Andrews. I believe we spoke on the phone a few days ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a few questions for you. You indicated that you went over to Ms. Rosenbaum's home on August 18 of 2015.
According to the Facebook message, I didn't recall the date, but I don't have any reason to think it wasn't that date.
And were you aware that nowhere in the indictment that we're in court for today is the date August 18 of 2015?
I don't have any knowledge about the indictment at all.
And the last time you saw Jen and Joseph with the girls was October 30th of 2015?
If those are the girls, I mean, yes. I'm sorry, I just don't reckon. I only really did see them twice in my recollection, once at the house and once then, so I don't have any reason to think that they're not those girls, but I just don't know them.
And you never, on October 30th, you saw them dressed as they were in that photograph, to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
You never saw their bare legs, their bare arms, bare skin at all?
In October?
Correct.
Not that I recall, no.
And when was the last time that you spoke with Jennifer Rosenbaum?
I don't recall.
Did she ever call you from the hospital?
She did.
And was that on the date of November 17, 2015?
I don't recall the date. That sounds about right. I recall it being in November because I was in the process of moving out of that McDonough office. And so I just kind of put that together in my memory.
Did she call you the date that Laila died?
Yes.
And what was the conversation about?
She just called and told me that she had passed away, and I recall there being a concern of hers that she was being questioned. I can't recall by whom, someone in a position of authority, but I can't recall exactly by whom. And I told her that I thought that she might want to talk to an attorney before she was questioned. And I gave her the names of a couple of criminal attorneys that I knew that might be appropriate for any questions she might be asked.
So she called you to know that she was concerned about some questioning on the night of November 17th?
And to let me know, what had happened.
And asked for some names of some attorneys?
I probably brought that up. I don't know exactly. I don't recall, if she asked me or if I offered, but that would have just been my common response if anyone had called me, given me such news, and telling me that they were being questioned. I would say, well, I would recommend that you talk to an attorney, and I knew that it wouldn't be me. So I didn't practice that type of law. So.
And you were in the home of the Rosenbaums on November 17th of 2015?
No. No.
Never in their home November 15th?
No.
No further questions, thank you.
I am unclear, Ms. Britt. The date that you talked to Jennifer and went to her house and saw the girls try on clothes, or at least one girl try on clothes, was what date?
Could I see that piece of paper again? Because I'm not sure it said that I was going over that day. This is a different piece of paper.
See if that helps refresh your recollection.
So this doesn't say that I'm going over there, but it seems like the conversation is giving me her address, and it seems like that's telling me she's available then and I could go over then. It doesn't say I'm on my way or I'm coming over. This is dated August 23rd. It kind of makes a little more sense than August 18th, my daughter's birthday. So I wouldn't have thought I would have been going somewhere to sell baby clothes on her birthday. So I don't have any wasn't August 23rd, but I don't have a distinct memory of that either.
Let me show you what I've shown the state and see if that refreshes your recollection anymore.
This is the same piece of paper.
But is it not the one talking about what time y'all would be here, 5 minutes?
It's the same one you just showed me.
I
Okay.
understand that, but isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it looks like it is.
It looks like it is what?
It looks like it's saying that I would be there in 5 minutes.
And on what date was that?
August 23rd.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
2015?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down.
Very different picture painted in court today as 2 Henry County foster parents stand trial accused of killing their 2-year-old foster daughter. Prosecutors say that Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum abused Laila and then tried to cover up her death by claiming she choked. But today, the defense's first witnesses denied ever seeing any signs of abuse. Joe Hankey at the courthouse where the testimony has wrapped up for the day.
Well, Jeff, the longest and definitely the most emotional testimony of the day came from Joseph Rosenbaum's mother, Mary. In her testimony, she could not remember the last time she saw Laila and the 2-year-old sister, Millie, in person before Laila's death, but she did say everything appeared fine during a FaceTime video call just days before Laila's death. On the witness stand, Mary Rosenbaum often fought back tears.
Tell me, how did the girls fit into your family?
Very well. Fell in love with them right away.
Doctors, nurses, and a GBI medical examiner testifying for the state described Laila as having several broken bones and bruises covering her body. According to their testimony, many of those injuries appeared to be from the days and weeks leading up to her death in November of 2015. Mary Rosenbaum says she took care of the girls at times and recalled seeing them in person in August and October of 2015. She says she never spotted any injuries.
I never had any inkling at all that there were injuries to either one of them.
Joseph Rosenbaum's mother says she did not know this trial includes not only charges in Laila's death, but also charges for alleged abuse against Laila's sister Millie and injuries investigators say they found on her after the 2-year-old's death.
Does that surprise you at all?
Yes, it does.
Does that concern you at all? That
Yes, it
that
does.
Millie had them as well?
Yes.
Why does it concern you?
Because I consider her my granddaughter, and kids that age shouldn't have things like that.
And after being shown evidence photos of bruising on Laila and Millie's bodies, Mary Rosenbaum continued to say she did not believe abuse took place.
And if there was physical abuse in the house, would you agree with me that that might be something that Joseph didn't mention to you?
No.
You think he would talk to you about abusing the
Joseph is
children?
not the type of person.
Okay.
I don't believe Jen is either. So you could tell me all day long, I'll never believe it.
Okay.
And in court today, the defense attorney for the Rosenbaums called several other witnesses who say they saw Laila and Millie from August through November, early November of 2015. Laila died in mid-November of 2015. I'll show you how those witnesses responded to questions from prosecutors coming up at 6. We'll send it back to you in studio.